Today, Bitcoin closes out the week by crossing above $66,000. Binance founder Changpeng Zhao prepares for his release from prison, and Kristin Smith of the Blockchain Association breaks down crypto's growing influence and politics and the 2024 election. Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Jordan Smith. Cryptocurrencies are adding to their recent gains as we close out the week. By noon Eastern, Bitcoin crossed just above the $66,000 level, while Ether ticked upward to $26.84. Solana also on the rise today, inching up to $159. Now, crypto is largely in positive territory in the past week, still riding the Fed's decision to cut rates, plus some positive economic news that was released in recent days. In the past week, both Bitcoin and Ether have gained about 5%, while Solana climbed 8%. That's compared to the S&P, which only gained 0.75% since Monday morning. All right, let's talk about the top stories. Changpeng Zhao, the founder of Binance and the former CEO, is set to be released from prison. A U.S. court handed down a 4-month prison sentence back in April after Zhao pled guilty to enabling money laundering under his leadership at Binance. CZ served out his sentence in California and is originally scheduled to be released on Sunday the 29th, but the Federal Bureau of Prisons rules allow inmates to be released on the preceding weekday if their sentence ends on a weekend or holiday. CZ and Binance have also separately been sued by the SEC and CFTC. He stepped down from his CEO role last November as part of his plea deal and was succeeded by Richard Tang. Next, Republican Senator Cynthia Lummis of Wyoming joined Squawk Box this morning. She discussed crypto legislation just a day after SEC Chair Gary Gensler also joined the show and weighed in on the agency's handling of the crypto industry.
Congress needs to regulate this and weigh in. You know, some of the problem has been that the SEC has said, well, we have all the tools we need to regulate it. But the way they've applied them has brought about court cases. Instead of regulating by making clear rules of the road for the industry, they're regulating by enforcement action.
In yesterday's discussion, Gensler did emphasize that Congress set the SEC up to also be a law enforcement agency. Now, Lummis also expressed doubts that Gensler would lead the agency under the next president.
Gary Gensler's view of trying to keep control of so much about digital assets, characterizing them as securities and all the companies that deal with them as securities, doesn't recognize adequately that Bitcoin's a commodity, Ethereum's a commodity, and perhaps other digital assets are. We need to have a clear definition. The Howey test is available to us, and as it has been updated, there may be other assets just besides Bitcoin and Ethereum that would qualify for the jurisdiction of the Commodity Futures Trading Commission.
All right, let's stick with politics and the 2024 election for our main story. The U.S. is just weeks away from picking the next president, with early voting already underway in some states. And for crypto, the next administration to enter the White House in January could take a very different stance on the industry. I spoke with Kristin Smith, the CEO of the Blockchain Association, about both candidates, how the organization plans to work with whomever wins the White House, and where Congress, the group that actually has to pass the regulations onto the president's desk, stands on the issue. Kristin, thank you so much for being here. We are just about 38 days away until Election Day here in the U.S., and crypto has taken, I would say, a surprisingly starring role in this cycle. I mean, you have Trump, who's made his pro-crypto stances pretty public, and we're starting to hear rumblings from the Kamala Harris side about her crypto views, and this sort of feels like a dream come true for those who have been courting pro-crypto politicians. But what's your take right now on where things stand as we head toward Election Day for crypto?
Well, it's certainly a fascinating time to be working in the crypto industry and be involved in this election cycle. This is certainly an unprecedented level of attention that our issues are getting, but I think there's a reason for that. And the reason is that the crypto voter is real. We're seeing this, across the board in polling, that people really care about crypto policy. The crypto advocate is also real. We have, there's a group, Stand With Crypto, that has 1.5 million advocates that are reaching out to candidates and members of Congress and saying this is important. And I would say also, and maybe most importantly, the crypto industry is mature. This isn't a startup industry anymore that is ignoring Washington. There's been a tremendous amount of investment that's been made to coming up with public policy solutions and doing the level of education that's needed. And so I think it's these three forces that are coming together and really having an impact in this year's election.
To your point that you just made, I mean, every indication that we have is that this is going to be a close election if you look at polling. And I'm curious if you think the crypto voter is going to have a significant impact on the decision in November. If you think there is a significant number of voters that will come out to vote either way, given this issue specifically.
Well, if you look across the battleground states, both at the Senate level and at the presidential level, some of these races are incredibly close. And so you can have a very small number of voters, a couple thousand voters, maybe even a couple hundred voters, that end up determining the outcome of the election. And so a candidate's position on crypto could really ultimately decide some of these elections. And so I think it's incredibly important that anybody who is running for office, whether it be House, Senate, or the president, think thoughtfully about these issues and indicate to that constituency that this is something they care about and they want to find the right way to keep the U.S. competitive and keep the technology growing here in the United States.
If I can ask one more 2024 specific question, there's been reporting that Kamala Harris's team has been meeting with crypto executives and industry leaders. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious if you've had any conversations with the Harris campaign about crypto. Are you hearing anything that makes you feel more comfortable about her policies compared to the Biden administration, which has been seen as more hostile to the industry?
Yeah, no, we have had conversations with the Harris team, and many executives in the industry have also been sitting down with the Harris team. And I think we're certainly encouraged that this could be an opportunity for a reset. We saw this week that she mentioned blockchain technology in her economics club speech that she did in Pittsburgh. She's also been reportedly talking about it in fundraisers. And so I think that's certainly a really good first step. I think what's going to be telling is when we start to get into the details of that policy, right? And I think over time, we're going to start to see more and more kind of concrete ideas come forward. And so I think it's certainly encouraging. There's certainly an opportunity. I don't think we're quite to the place we want to be yet, but it's completely understandable given she was so late in this race to not have, sort of fully fleshed out plans at this stage. So, it's something that a lot of people in the industry are continuing to work on. And, I have hope that because of all the reasons we talked about, the voter, the advocate, the industry, that we can get her there. And we've got a ways to go, but we're off to a good start.
So regardless of what happens in November, there's going to be work to do for the crypto industry if they want to see progress on regulation. And I'm curious what you see as the Blockchain Association's role, regardless of who wins, because, we're talking about a new Congress coming in. We're talking about restarting on some of this legislative work. Where do you see your work starting in 2025?
I think the Blockchain Association is going to play a critical role in 2025 and beyond, because one of the things that all trade associations do is they work to bring the industry together. And I think getting consensus around the right policy positions is incredibly important, because sometimes you might have, one legislative solution that works for one company, but that doesn't work for every single company out there. And so we as an industry need to capitalize on this moment, right? There's so much investment that is going into the election at the congressional level and the presidential level that once we hit election day, we're not going to be looking at elections anymore. We're going to be looking at moving forward on policy. And so I think it's going to be our job to convene the industry, find consensus around the policies we need, and then go work to do the education and the advocacy needed to get those policies enacted. I think that if we can get legislation done on stablecoins, on market structure, these are pieces that will really cement the U.S. as a leader in this space. And I think it's an important and needed step. And I think it's one that we can get done in the next Congress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm curious how optimistic you are about getting some of that progress done, because you're losing one crypto-friendly politician who's made a lot of work happen in regards to those bills. You got Patrick McHenry leaving after this congressional term. Are you optimistic that you have, the allies in Congress come next term to make real movement on those rules that you're talking about?
Yeah, I think there's a pretty deep bench. I mean, Chairman McHenry has been a fantastic champion for the technology and for moving forward on policy. And I think has played an incredibly important role in moving the discussion forward. But there are a lot of folks in the House and Senate in both parties that really want to get this done. And I think particularly compared to where we were 2 years ago, that we have turned a corner. This is not the post FTX world where crypto is a pariah and nobody wants to deal with these issues. I think because of the work of Chairman McHenry and others, all of Congress now realizes that this is something that they need to take seriously. Even some folks who can traditionally been considered opponents, like Maxine Waters was talking very positively about moving forward with crypto regulation. We've even seen Elizabeth Warren, who I think is one of the largest challenges we face as an industry, has started to soften her comments a little bit. And so I think Congress has turned a corner, and that we are going to have the right people in place next year in order to get comprehensive legislation done that'll put the industry on a good course for the next several decades.
All right, that's all for Crypto World this week. We'll be back on Monday, and we'll see you then.